welcome back to the channel. As you've gathered by the title of the video, I made a mistake. I made a big mistake. This is a learning process for me. Well, I admit that I probably didn't read the manual correctly, follow the instructions as it was written down. So, as you can see, the engine's back up on the bench. I've removed all the bottom bolts because I just hadn't followed the instructions correctly, which is, I say, hands up, my mistake. I'll admit the mistake. It's a mistake that I can learn from. I appreciate all the comments and all the feedback I had. There was loads of comments on that one. I even had comments on Facebook as well, which I really appreciate. If I make a mistake, I need to know. If I do something wrong, I need to know. It is all part of my learning experience of doing this. I've never done anything, as I said, these are not how-to videos. These are just documentation of my travel through a build, which is, I've said many times, which is quite daunting. I am going to make mistakes. I need to know if I make a mistake so I can rectify that mistake. And a lot of you pointed out that I'd done a few things wrong, or I'd missed something, which I really appreciate. To give you an example, I hope you don't mind me mentioning your name, but Jim sent me a personal message, which I really appreciate, and obviously I did respond to you. It was good to actually chat with you about different things. I basically printed out what he'd actually said to me, where he watched my video on the reassembly of the crankcases of the Z650. This gentleman has done 4 or 5 of these engines and has worked as a mechanic for over 40 years, so a lot of experience. And these are the people that I enjoy talking to, because I can take learning experiences from them. They've done it, I haven't. I make mistakes. They've probably made mistakes in their early years, but they've got the wealth of experience that I can draw from. He'd actually pointed out that I'd actually installed an oversight by me. I'd installed the crankshaft bolts, put them in, torqued them up, but there is actually a sequence which I completely missed, and as I say, hands up on that. So I've actually removed all of the bolts. I've used my card again. I've cleaned the bolts up again. Right, so as the bolts have come out, I will bring you in closer in a minute and show you. There are actually, which, as I say, oversight by me, there are actually numbers on the crank case underneath, which, as he says, and yes, it's in the manual as well, which I should have read better, are actually numbered for the torquing sequence. So 1 and 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10. I hope you can see, yeah, so there's number 7, there's number 5, that's number 1, number 3 and number 9. See, all the numbers are underneath, which I completely missed. If you can see there, but that's number 6. That one up there is number 2. That one is number 4. And you can see there number 10. I had totally missed that. So as I say, I've taken them all out, I've cleaned them back up, I've numbered them as the actual torquing sequence. All the sump bolts have gone back in to my board. Again, I missed something there. I believe it was Brett that showed me that pointed that one out. This actual unit here, I basically screwed it in hand tight. It wasn't torqued and it wasn't Loctited. So as I say, going back to Jim's message that he actually personally emailed, that he, you know, obviously he pointed out the fact that the torquing sequence I hadn't done, and that even if I loosened all the smaller bolts to torque the 10 main bolts, this will release the case sealer. Very nicely put that he's replied in a private message as he didn't want to rain on my good job. I really appreciate it, but that's why I'm reading your email out, for everybody to know that yes, I made a big mistake. I'm learning from that mistake. I can use that moving forward. I like all types of criticism, good, bad or indifferent. I've always said that I mean, some of the criticism, yeah, it can be a bit ridiculous, but constructive criticism is important. It's putting the point across in a nice way, which I really appreciate. And Jim has just summed this up totally, that he's been in that situation. He's had to deal with engines that, you know, oil failures, etc., and they're not cheap to rebuild. They are expensive to do. So, as I say, I really appreciate your feedback, Jim. It means a lot. So, moving forward from it, some of this I have done off camera because it is quite a time consuming. The video that came out a few episodes ago, was the basics of obviously putting the cases back together. So the cases have had to be split. I've had to take out all these bolts. The same for the top bolts. They all had to come out. The cases were resplit. As I say, I didn't film any of it because it will take a long time. But you understand what I'm getting at, of where I've made the mistake. So the cases have been resealed, all the bolts have been put back in. I just need to, I say these are only sort of like, they're not torqued, so I need to torque these and I need to torque the top ones. But the main bit is I need to do these crank bolts again, and I need to do the sump, get the sump back on. Again, Jim was explaining that these, obviously, when I originally torqued them, I'd just done that one, that one, that one, that one, that one, and that one. I'd just done them in a line. I need to stagger them. So we'll do that on these bottom ones and on the top ones when I flip the engine over. But as I say, so to get back into it, sometimes the numbers are actually difficult to see on the actual cases, obviously, because now I've painted, so I've actually done the bolts there in literally the sequence as they are. So the first job is get these back in and then torque them in the correct sequence to the actual torque settings that I used from the book, which I'll bring back out again. Right, so I've just slid the top ones in. So it's just the bottom ones to go. I'll still keep the board out because obviously that's got the sequence on. So I just need to tighten these in and then we can torque them up. Right, so all the bolts are back in. I've just literally put them all in loose. One thing he did say in his email was, in his opinion, no need for Loctite. Manual uses Loctite. I have put a little bit on. Let's see what happens. So I'm just going to get these started. So now I'm going to tighten each one in the correct sequence. Probably get away without the wrench for a minute. So number 1. That's 2. That's 3. But as I say, I do really appreciate everybody's feedback and comments. It does help me so much. That's 4 into 5. I mean, to start with, obviously disappointed with myself because I didn't pay attention. I didn't read the manual as well as I thought I'd read it. So that's number 5. Right, into number 6. And obviously, yeah, I learnt the hard way. So it's hard to take sometimes, but I say it's important to me to actually know that I've done something wrong. That's number 6. Right, on to the end for number 7. I say it has been good with obviously the comments that I've had from everyone really. I say I can't pull out any precise names. There's so many of you that actually watch my videos, comment on my videos, which is really appreciated. Right, so that's number 7. That's 8. And 9, and last one at the moment, 10, and then we can get these torqued in. I can then turn the engine so the sump is facing upwards and we can get the sump done. Right, so what's left to do now is torque. So back to the trusty book. So the crankcase lower, 10 bolts, 18 to 22 foot-pounds. Right, so I've got foot-pounds on the back there. I've done it to the 0, so that's 20.65, and it says 18 to 22. So referring to the sequence, that's number 1. That's 2. That's 3. Four. That's 5. Right, in for 6. That's 7. 8. 9, last one. That's 10. Alright, so I'm going to flip the engine over so we can get the sump sorted. Right, so with the sump, first thing is the bit I missed. That needs a locking agent and needs to be torqued. Alright, so I just need to check the torque setting on that. Or pressure relief. 9.5 to 12 foot-pounds. That's a 17mm. torqued. Alright, so next thing is sump back on. Alright, so first thing we've got is obviously these rubber washers. One fits in there, another one fits at the top, and the last one sits. So we've got one here, one here, and the last one just at the top. Right, so next thing, obviously gaskets on, just a light smear of instant gasket. Again, I'll do these in a crisscross. At the moment it's just getting these in place. Alright, just double check just in case these need to be torqued. Oil pan bolts, 61 to 78 inch-pounds. That should be interesting. I don't think my torque wrench actually goes down that far. Right, the only one of the one I wanted to check while I was down here. I think it might have been Brett. Good observation, Brett. When I put these stoppers back in, they have actually got a rubber O-ring around them to seal. Same with the engine ones as well. Again, that's just on hand tight for now. Yeah, there was another one here. again, O-rings in place, and exactly the same on this one. But again, I'm not tightening them up yet. So now that's all torqued down, I just need to do this one at the back, and then I can flip the engine over. Right, so engine's flipped over. I just need to go back over these ones and just torque them 78 to 95 inch-pounds. Just doing them in a star pattern really. Right, so the whole process, again, my own mistake, it's probably taken me a few hours to strip all this back down again, get back to the position where I was, and then obviously I've showed you the crank bolts in the right sequence, the sump correctly done. But yeah, big learning curve and a big mistake to make, but we live and learn. Alright, so thanks for joining me on that one. I hope it was helpful. It was also nice to learn from a mistake I've made. I don't really want to, well, I'm going to make mistakes, I know that. There are going to be things that I obviously need to pay a bit more attention in places where that I hadn't. Maybe I should have just took a little bit more time and just gone through it rather than just headstrong straight into it. As I say, it's been a couple of episodes obviously since this was done wrongly. Obviously I jumped on the ST and then it was just a recap, and it gave me a lot more chance to actually read through the manuals, etc. Sometimes I need it. So this has now been rectified, so I can progress further forward. So as I say, a big thank you to Jim. Great help, really appreciate your help. Any future help, if you don't mind, I will be calling on you. So, but no, I really appreciate your comments, your feedback, even the private message. I understand why you did the private message. As you put, sort of, you didn't want to rain on my good job. It hasn't rained on it at all. It's been an educational learning experience, which is what I'm about. I don't mind if other people read it that I've made a mistake. I'll put my hands up. I've made a big mistake, but I've learned from it. It's taken me a long time to actually get back to the stage where I was. So yeah, it's taken me a bit longer, and that's my own mistake, my own fault. Next episode, continuing on, I need to get the pistons in. Then we can move on to, as I said in the previous video, then we can move on to the barrels and obviously the cam chain and all the timing bits, and then move on to the actual head itself, valves, etc. So as I say, so next episode we're on to pistons. We'll keep moving through. I will be jumping back to the ST probably in a couple of videos time. Again, thank you so much for all your comments on the ST, but we'll cover that in a separate episode. But that just about wraps it up for today. So links to other videos top left and top right, and join me again next time. Thanks for watching. Cheers. Bye.